Welcome back to Explaining Everything, the channel where we dive into the stories, science, and straight-up weirdness behind everyday things. Today's wonderfully funky question comes from one of our curious viewers, Melted Mozzarella 27. Thanks for the stinking good suggestion, Mozzarella. You asked, why do some cheeses smell like feet? And honestly, we love you for it. If you've ever cracked open a wheel of fancy French cheese and suddenly questioned your entire sense of smell, you're not alone. That nose-wrinkling, room-clearing odor has a backstory, and it's wilder than you think. So grab a snack, maybe something less pungent for now, and get ready to find out why some cheeses smell like old socks doing hot yoga, right here on Explaining Everything. All right, let's start with the basics. What exactly is going on when cheese smells like feet? The short answer? Bacteria. The long answer? Very specific, very smelly bacteria that love to party on both your cheese and your body. There's a particular microorganism called Brevibacterium linens. Sounds like a fancy laundry detergent, but no. It's a bacteria that plays a huge role in the development of certain types of cheese. It's responsible for creating that glorious orange rind and, unfortunately, that aggressive foot-like odor. But here's where things get extra spicy. Brevibacterium linens is also found on human skin, especially between your toes. That's right. The bacteria that helps age some of the world's most luxurious cheeses is the same one that hangs out in your socks after a long run. So basically, your feet and your cheese are using the same cologne. Now, before you freak out and throw your brie out the window, keep in mind, this isn't necessarily a bad thing. These bacteria don't make the cheese unsafe. In fact, they're essential to creating the complex flavors and aromas people adore in washed rind cheeses. That strong smell? That's a sign that the bacteria are doing their job. You might be wondering, who in the world decided this was a good idea in the first place? To answer that, we have to go back in time. Way back. Humans have been making cheese for thousands of years, like ancient Egypt levels of old. And early cheesemaking was less artisan cheesemonger and more, oops, I forgot this milk in a cave, and now it's alive. Over time, people realized that letting cheese age in damp, slightly musty places created new and interesting flavors. And that's where the bacteria came in, especially in monasteries, where monks started intentionally washing cheese rinds with brine, beer, or wine to cultivate bacteria like bee linens. The result was soft, sticky, funky cheeses with a signature stink and a surprisingly mild flavor. Yes, you heard that right. Many stinky cheeses don't actually taste the way they smell. It's a weird contradiction. Your nose is expecting something rancid, but your mouth is like, wait, this is creamy, this is rich, this is weirdly delightful. So while it might smell like someone's gym locker, it often tastes buttery, earthy, and full of character. It's kind of like meeting someone who looks like they bite people, but ends up being a poet who gives great hugs. Let's take a moment to appreciate some of the stinkiest cheeses out there. First up, the infamous Limburger. This cheese is so pungent, it's basically the villain in any fridge it enters. Smells like a foot. Tastes like a tangy dream. Then there's Époisse, a French cheese that's been literally banned on public transportation in France. When your cheese needs legal boundaries, you know it's serious. Taleggio, an Italian cheese, also makes the list. It's got a yeasty, fruity smell and melts like a dream. If you can get past the aroma, it's a pizza's best friend. And don't forget Munster, the French version, not the American sandwich slice. It's washed in brine and matured until it develops a funky rind and a gooey, mild interior. It's like a soft-spoken introvert in a leather jacket. So, what exactly causes the smell? When the cheese is aging, bee linens breaks down proteins on the surface of the cheese into smaller compounds, like sulfur compounds, ammonia, and methanethiol. All things that happen to smell like body odor, old socks, or something you forgot in the trunk of your car. And because the rind is moist and slightly salty, it becomes the perfect place for this bacteria to multiply and throw a rager. Now here's something fun. Not everyone experiences these smells the same way. Our noses are wired differently. Some people are more sensitive to certain scent compounds, while others might barely notice them. So, if you're one of those folks who walks into a cheese shop and immediately dry heaves, don't worry. Your nose just has a better early warning system. But if you want to try stinky cheese without immediately tapping out, there are a few ways to ease into it. First, try it with some accompaniments. Fresh fruit, nuts, or a little honey can balance out the sharp flavors and mellow the smell. Second, let the cheese come to room temperature before eating. That softens the texture and helps unlock deeper flavors. Third, eat it with your nose slightly pinched. It sounds ridiculous, but it works. Once your tongue gets used to the flavor, the smell becomes a little more tolerable. And finally, just remember, the stink is part of the charm. It's not a bug, it's a feature. Cheese, like people, gets more interesting as it ages. And yes, sometimes it also gets a little weirder. So, to wrap it all up, the reason some cheeses smell like feet is because they share the same bacteria found on human skin. That bacteria creates the signature smell by breaking down proteins into stinky compounds. But despite the odor, these cheeses are perfectly safe and often delicious. Next time you unwrap a wedge that smells like it's been doing squats in a sauna, give it a chance. You might just find your new favorite guilty pleasure. If you enjoy this video, or if you're now ready to sniff that blue cheese in your fridge, please like and subscribe. Also, if you have suggestions for our next video, feel free to share them in the comments below. We'll be sure to give you an acknowledgement for your contributions. Thank you for tuning in, and join us next time here in the channel that answers all the why, what, who, where, and how questions you've always wondered about, here on Explaining Everything.